You may ask why government needs a planning function. Surely it has so much power. It can pass laws in Parliament, it can employ people, it can design policies. But what we've seen in South Africa, and the story told by the Diagnostic, released by the National Planning Commission, is that things go wrong. And it's very important to understand what goes wrong and to fix it. It's for this reason that the Planning Commission was set up to try and bring these issues together and focus on the future. So let's take all of these stories together and let me share with you the story of Thandi. Thandi is a young African woman, 18 years old, passed grade 12 in 2010. She was part of a group of just under 1.4 million 5, 6, 7 and 8-year-olds who started school together in January 1999. But so many of those who started with her dropped out at various points. The bulk of them, some 46% in fact, drop out at high school between grades 8 and 12. So that the people who come through the system, there were only 600 and odd thousand left of Thandi's group by the time they sat to write grade 12. 13% attained education sufficient to get them into university, and a further 12% allowing them to enter a college to do a diploma. So it's a very small group. 25% of those who started have the opportunity to take things further. But out of that entire group, somebody like Thandi, who went to a school where virtually everybody is poor and African, and because she is a female, her chances were only 4% to get into university. Getting a university pass does not automatically mean that she would attend university. In Thandi's case, she couldn't. Financial and other reasons compelled her to remain at home and look for a job. In the first year, 2011, there was only a 13% chance that she would get a job. In fact, if one were to project this over the first 5 years after school, there's only a 1 in 4 chance that she would get a job. And once she has a job, of earning an income above the median of 4,000 Rand a month is down to a mere 2%. 1 in 50 of people who leave school will earn more than 4,000 Rand a month in the first 5 years after school. She's likely to get a bit of piecework here and there. It may last a few weeks in one case, a few months in another case. But for that period, and for, in fact, all of her working life, it's unlikely that she will earn above the poverty line of 418 Rand a month. So this means for all of her childbearing years, she will be trapped in poverty. Her children will be born in poverty. The cycle of poverty will continue. In fact, ironically, the first time that she's likely to break through the poverty barrier would be when she turns 60 and then gets a state old age pension. It's an important story to understand because there are so many Thandis in South Africa, and education is a fundamentally important part of it, but it's not the only part. Access to healthcare, access to community services, whether this be water, electricity, sanitation, or broadband, access to public transport, whether there's a library in the community or not. All of these are fundamentally important parts of trying to improve on the lives of people in South Africa. And it's in understanding the story of Thandi that we can bring all of these issues together, bring them home, and ensure that the country can focus attention on every aspect of what needs to be done. We need coordinated and focused implementation. This will only happen if there's leadership within the country, within the province, within the village, within the school, within Thandi's peers. Everything needs to come together. We must ensure that leadership is interested, focused, and determined to drive the changes together. This is what brings planning into play that makes it so important in South Africa now. The national plan has to attack the blight of poverty and exclusion and nurture economic growth at one and the same time. This will create a virtuous cycle of expanding opportunities, building of capabilities, reducing poverty, all of it involving communities in their own development and leading to rising living standards. Such a virtuous cycle requires agreement across society about the contribution and sacrifices of all sectors and interests. This will translate into greater confidence and a greater field of opportunities for individuals and the country. Growth and development and reducing poverty and inequality are the core elements of this virtuous cycle. Strong leadership throughout society, national consensus, social cohesion, and a capable state are its key enablers. For the virtuous cycle to work, you don't only need government, you need everybody. And the success of whether it's working is in the lives of the millions of people who, like Thandi, face the struggle to improve on the quality of their lives. That is the change that the plan must bring. That is the new form of accountability. That is the shift from where we've been to something new. It's a new story about South Africa, one that we will build together. Thank you very much for your interest in the life of Thandi.